Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me, Dave Knight, for this week's podcast, which is number 62 in our weekly releases, and we're getting our teeth into series 7 now. This is quite a special series because I'm releasing both audio and video podcasts, and whichever you prefer, take a listen or a watch, and let's get straight into this 9 p.m. Sunday Settler. These weekly podcasts are wrapped up into tailored Bulletproof Yourself wellbeing packages, and they can be accessed via my website sundaysettler.com, clicking on the Bulletproof Yourself page. This week's Sunday Settler is entitled Wanting to be Perfect, and we'll be exploring where the idea of perfectionism comes from, and is it possible to actually achieve perfectionism? And I'll bring in some considerations, for us to take away from the podcast today, and only as a way to drop the seed to understanding why we, or perhaps someone else that we might know in our lives, experiences certain pressures. And I'll also share an alternative way of thinking that has inspired me also, which might relieve some pressure in your life too. So this is your 10 to 15 minutes of me time. It really is. So find your comfortable space and get yourself nice and relaxed. One of my favourite bands, Oasis, once sang these lyrics: "True perfection is imperfect." And for me, they're so powerful. Those words are, and they take up a whole different meaning. And they were clearly a band, weren't they, full of wisdom in their time. So what is perfection, and who actually determines this? Well, would it be us as individuals, society as a whole, our boss, our partners, our parents, or could it be the headmaster or teacher that we once had in our lives? Our nearest friends and family, the media. I mean, social media is quite a big one, isn't it? Where it seems to have a lot of influence on how perfectionism is seen in society. Now, this is completely tongue-in-cheek here. We have to be perfect, don't we, for people to like us, to be respected for who we are, so we can stop the addictive behaviours that we've been engaging in for a while now. To grow our business exponentially, we have to be perfect for that, don't we? We have to be perfect to feel that we're worthy of things, of good things in life. To be secure in whatever we're doing, in our jobs, in our relationships. To get the job promotion perhaps that we've been after for a while, or to win that tender for our business. We have to be perfect, don't we, to get the things that we've always wanted in life, or to be an elite sports performer. But here's the really good news. That really was tongue-in-cheek. And it doesn't work like that. It really doesn't. Our relationships with others, our happiness, that I've spoke more about in previous episodes of the Sunday Settlers, our achievements, our performance doesn't depend on us being perfect. Trying to be perfect in the first instance only actually leads us to having extra layers of thinking, and it creates so many extra layers of stress. It holds us back, it slows us down somewhat, it affects our concentration. It adds unnecessary pressure on ourselves and others. And wanting to be perfect leads to insecurity about our very being in the world. But whatever it is, perfection is just an opinion. Something that is considered to be faultless, flawless, and have no, excuse the pun, imperfections. And I'd really like to ask you at this point, do you think it is possible to be perfect? Is it really possible? And are there any areas in your life where you're striving to be perfect at the moment? Excuse me. And in doing so, what is the result of that? What is the result of striving for perfection? You see, I believe that we're quite often chasing that feeling of perfection, and this holds us back in some way, perhaps in many ways. And I have many conversations with people who are striving to achieve this unachievable thing, that in order to maybe appease another person or to feel more secure in themselves. But they're chasing a feeling that perhaps they're never going to get, because it does not exist. They're chasing something that they're never ever going to get because it does not exist. And I'd invite you just to let that sink in for a moment. This is your time, and I'd really like to encourage you in this moment to consider what I'm about to say here. In trying to achieve perfection, this faultless thing, this state that someone else or something else perhaps determines, it leads us back to a common misunderstanding in life. The misunderstanding that outside factors determine our experiences. And as I've spoken about in each and every one of the weekly podcasts, it's not how it works. Our experience comes from the inside out and not the outside in. Therefore, we are placing our perfection, if you like, in the hands of someone or something else to determine. And that is an impossibility. And we're innocently seeking an approval from the outside world just to justify ourselves, and commonly this leads to being unhappy, not feeling the way that we expected to feel when we get somewhere, perhaps. Whether we get or receive the recognition or not. And the recognition could be in many forms, such as someone commenting that we look good, deserving a pay rise, or winning an award. There's a feeling of something missing, and that feeling comes from our thinking. It is our thinking that, therefore, that is self-creating the reality of what perfection is supposed to be. How to behave, what to say, how to say it, the weight we must be, or the amount we must earn, let's say. However, it's not real. What if we accepted that perfectionism is not achievable based on the reasons what we've briefly discussed so far? For me, the Great Britain, the GB 2012 Olympic slogan stands out as an inspiring message, a realistic message also. Better never stops. It really does. Now, words that immediately come to my mind when I think about that slogan include performance, motivation, making improvements through learning, reflecting on what we've done in the past and improving on it, infinite capability. What if we followed the better never stop slogan, that kind of mantra, and so each time we do something we simply aim to improve on what we did last time? How about that? Let's take elite sports performers, personalities that we've seen in recent times. Lionel Messi, the footballer, Usain Bolt, the athlete, the supreme sprinter, Roger Federer, the tennis king, in my eyes anyway. To many of us, they embody the perfectionism, possibly in your eyes as well, perhaps. They embody perfectionism in their sport. Can they actually get any better at what they do? Of course they can. Of course they can. And no doubt they've trained or continue to train every day to improve on various aspects of their performance. But maybe they have had their moments at some point in their careers in wanting to be perfect, absolutely perfect, and hitting every shot on the line, let's say, or scoring every free kick or penalty in the corner of the goal, or taking off immediately from the race without any delay once the start gun has gone off. However, that would have created an extra layer of thinking and at some level impacted on their performance, as they're not actually in the moment, in the present, which is where we have supreme performance. Trusting themselves to do what they need to, aiming to improve each time, and those kind of things is probably the area where they operate in most. That's why they're so consistent, as well as being naturally gifted, of course. But perhaps on a more relative note, I wonder if aiming for perfection has had this kind of impact on you or anyone else that you know. Not delivering on the presentation to the level at which we know we can, even if we've prepared for the presentation. The interview not going as well as we had hoped and had planned in our heads. Being preoccupied with our body image. Not enjoying a social event due to being worried about what to say or how to say it or how to make a conversation. Our own sporting performance not being at the level that we know that we can perform at. Avoiding situations due to the fear of not being able to achieve perfection in the situation that we're going to be in. Has that ever happened to you, or something similar? See, if we're aiming for perfection, please consider where that has come from. If it's from the past, and perhaps due to an outside factor, that does not exist any longer. It is not real. Perhaps it could be outdated as well. It could be self-limiting. Only in memory, which is a thought that we've carried with us through time. That is all that the past is. It doesn't define us right now, in this present moment. We have right here and right now, and that's all we have. If we're aiming just to get better each time and improve at something each time that we do it, in a similar way to us only needing to know our next step, perhaps, in working towards our goals, all we need to know is how we can do things better than the last time that we did them. And if we do that on each occasion that we're doing, that is infinite improvement. That's infinite capability. That's infinite improving our performance levels. Infinite making improvements through learning. Just wanting to do it better over and over again. And if we did that each day at something over the course of 1 year alone, we've improved 365 times. How crazy is that? And that to me is perfectly imperfect and shows that the mantra of better never stops can be really inspirational. Over the last 10 to 15 minutes or so, we've considered the idea of wanting to be perfect and the impact that this could potentially have on us, and as we perhaps might be chasing something, a feeling that we will never experience. Only in our self-created reality does perfection exist. in our self-created reality? And is that real anyway? Perfectionism is based on opinion, and trying to achieve that will only serve to add extra layers of unnecessary thinking, baggage, burden, pressure, overwhelm on us. Thus, likely to be affecting our emotional state, our happiness, our performance, and relationships, all through an innocent misunderstanding. And having the freedom just to consider that and just wanting to be better each time instead, not only is more achievable in the first instance, but it's more infinite. We can smash any roof of perfectionism that has been set for us, or we've set. And that is something that we're actually more in control of. I appreciate you listening to this podcast, and if it has been of interest to you, or please help us to share the impact of this work across your platforms by following, sharing, liking, and inviting someone else to subscribe and to join in the conversation as well, and to keep on this journey with me. You can sign up to our newsletter via sundaysettler.com, and just to keep up to date with the work that we're doing. And if you're feeling a little lost or stuck at the moment and feel as though you would benefit from an initial conversation with someone about a challenge in your life, call me and we can take it from there. Please quote "wanting to be perfect" and you'll receive a 20-minute free intake call, 10% off your first full session with me, and support in between sessions just to clarify anything that we might discuss during our sessions also. But between now and next week, I'll be in touch for our Wednesday night midweek settler rather. And thanks again for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon.